shared mic just past the stand down probably would be the easiest way,
Okay.
not to hold it.
Yep. Okay.
That's what I think they recommend.
Okay. Regretting having a sweater on.
Well, good evening, everyone. They've closed the doors, and here at the show house, that means the show's about to start. So thank you all for coming out tonight to the Candidate Forum. My name is Pete Perez, and I'll be serving as the moderator. I want to thank our host, the show house, and our candidates for, of course, and our community members for joining us this evening. I also want to let you know that the event is being live streamed, so I think it's important for our candidates to know that, and for those who couldn't make it out tonight, an opportunity to either watch live or view it later. Now, one of my favorite quotes is that we need to worry less about what happens in the White House and more about what happens in our house. And tonight's forum is exactly that, a chance to meet and hear from those who live and work in our house, our community. Now, I do want to emphasize for those of you here tonight that this is not a gotcha event. It's not an event where we're going to focus on questions, catching candidates off guard, or creating embarrassing sound bites. That's not our goal tonight. This is a forum about open, respectful dialogue where candidates can share their vision, their priorities, and their ideas. And yes, even though we're meeting in the theater and they're selling popcorn, this isn't about creating drama or putting on a show. It's about building understanding in our community. Now, everyone seated here on this stage has chosen to run for office and has shown courage and a willingness to be vulnerable. They should all be applauded for taking on that challenge, so give it up for them tonight. Now, the purpose of the forum is to provide voters, us, with the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates. Our goal is to have respectful, informative discussions that highlight each candidate's vision, priorities, and leadership style. The order of candidate responses will be as follows: hospital commissioner, school board, city council, and then mayor. We will also be taking questions from the audience tonight if time allows. There are some boxes out front where you could submit questions. The committee will be sorting through those questions. At 7:30, the boxes will be pulled, and if appropriate, we may ask some of those questions. I want to be really clear, if we're not going to take questions from the crowd on a mic, and also, if you submit a question, there's no guarantee that it would be asked. Now, I will incorporate those questions into our conversation if appropriate, but at the end of the forum, we've asked all the candidates to be available to meet with you directly for smaller or individual question and answer sessions. Now, I want to share the ground rules with all of you, and I shared this with some of the candidates earlier today. The seating arrangement was selected at random, but we did put opposing candidates so that you could have the experience of them having a dialogue and discussion. You should also be aware that each candidate received tonight's questions a few days in advance so they could prepare thoughtful answers. And each candidate will be asked questions in turn. The first question will be directed to the candidate seated at the table to my immediate left. Then the next candidate will answer question 1 and 2, and we'll have a rotation in that manner. Each candidate will have equal time to respond, and we've asked candidates and encouraged them to keep their answers concise, generally 1 to 2 minutes. So I think we're ready to go. For hospital commissioner, we have 2 candidates, John Lawless and Martha Logan. Martha was invited to participate in the forum this evening, but declined the invitation. So we're going to start with John, and I'm going to ask him a series of questions. So give it up for John. Appreciate you taking the time to be here this evening, John. Could you let us know why you're running for hospital commissioner and what's your vision for the future of our local hospital and health services here in Othello?
This is on.
Should be on, yeah.
Everybody hear me okay? What? It's working. Reason why I'm running for the hospital board is basically I'm leaving the city council this year, and I was looking for something new to dedicate my time to, and I feel the hospital, the community hospital we have here in Othello is very important. So I believe I can help in the, bettering the hospital or at least keeping it alive.
Thank you for that. Now, we know that the hospital has to balance patient needs with financial responsibility. How would you help them prioritize resources to keep services strong and sustainable?
That's a tough question. I don't know how much I can talk about with regard to the finances of the hospital, but there's some challenging things that are taking place right now today in the United States of America. The big beautiful bill with the cut to Medicaid, there was an allotment of money put aside for $50 billion for community hospitals because that was one of the biggest concerns, was how were they going to continue to be funded. Right now today, the biggest concern of the hospital is the bad debt that we consume every single day, every single month, and yearly. That's people coming in, getting health care at the hospital, and then never paying the bill. What's that mean?
I think the mic is as close as he can get, but up top, could we have an audio check on the mic, please? Want to test that for us, Mr. Lawless?
Test?
Is that better?
Is that
All right.
better?
Thank you for that feedback. We appreciate that. Okay. Want to make sure you can hear the responses. The next question is around healthcare workers. They certainly are the heart of hospital operations, no pun intended. How would you support staff recruitment, retention, and well-being of healthcare workers?
Again, those are decisions made by the CEO and the people that work at the hospital. If there's anything that we can do as a board to support them and give them the ability to find the best people to do what needs to be done for this community, that's what we will do as board members. Other than that, there's a limitation on what you can do as a governing board member when it comes to employees and things like that.
All right. What role do you think the hospital should play in addressing broader community health challenges, such as mental health, preventative care, or chronic illness?
I think that's very significant for the hospital to be all of that for this community. And we're, hopefully we can actually expand the services that the hospital actually provides today. I'd like to see elderly care as one thing, and I would like to see that we develop more of a rapport with the community with regard to if you have a test that needs to be done and your doctor is sending you a referral, ask to have a referral for Othello Hospital. The information that you get from any hospital that you go to will always go back to your doctor for review. And I believe that the community hospital here in Othello is just as good as any hospital in this area.
All right, John, thank you. In one sentence, why should voters choose you to serve as hospital commissioner?
I don't know. If you know me, you know the type of person I am. I've been very forceful on the city council, and that's just my nature, and I will continue to be that way in serving you and this community on the hospital board.
All right, hey, round of applause for John. Thank you for starting us off in such an excellent fashion. Just a reminder that if you have individual questions about John's candidacy or the hospital commission or the hospital in general, healthcare in Othello, he'll be around after the forum to entertain those questions. Now we're going to move on to our school board candidates, and will be Bertie Fote and Juan Garcia. And again, just as a reminder, I'll ask Bertie question 1, then I'll ask Juan question 1 and 2, and we'll come back to Bertie, and we'll alternate in that fashion. So I'm going to kick it off just with Bertie's first question. Can you tell us why you're running for the school board and what your vision is for our schools here in Othello?
Hello, everyone, and again, thank you to Pete for moderating, and also to the new owners of the theater here for allowing us to do this tonight. My name is Bertie Foe, and I'm running for school board because I believe every child deserves the opportunity to learn, grow, succeed, no matter their background or circumstances. As a parent and a grandparent and business owner, and someone who has worked with youth and families for many years, I've seen both the strengths of our schools and the challenges they face. I want to bring a practical, community-centered voice that puts students first and ensures teachers and families are supported along the way. My vision is for schools that are safe, inclusive, and focused on helping every student reach their potential. That means keeping resources in the classroom, strengthening early learning and intervention programs, supporting our educators with tools and training that they need, and making sure that every family feels welcomed and heard. When we work together as a community, we can build the schools that prepare our students not just for graduation, but a lifelong success.
All right. Juan, same question for you. Why are you running for the school board, and what's your vision for our schools in Othello?
Test. Hello, friends. It's me, Juan Jerry Garcia. I'm running for the school board because I want to help support our younger generation to be successful and safe, and it genuinely pains me to see preventable failure. In my job as a corrections officer during the Juneteenth event earlier this year, for example, I witnessed many men praying together, and these once violent men have made tremendous strides in their habits. Who knows what their potential could have been in another reality? As far as I know, some of the men clearly did not have the home nor the community to support them. I want to prevent negative statistics, and my vision is to help bridge those gaps as much as possible for our students and their education. I understand that was an exaggeration, but again, I witnessed that, and that's why I'm running.
Jerry, Juan, next question. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing students in our district today, and how would you help address it?
The biggest challenges our students are facing are district budgets, mental health, and scores. To address this, well, I wouldn't put the effort onto my colleagues, but I would ask, where can I help where the last director stepped off? The largest obstacle is balancing the budget delicately without hurting student programs, all while retaining and supporting our staff. And that is not a one-person task, that is a 5-director task, and I'd be honored to be one of them to address that issue.
Bertie, same question for you. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing students in our district today, and how would you address it?
I believe one of the biggest challenges in our district is facing today is ensuring that economically disadvantaged and multilingual and migrant students often encounter barriers that go beyond the classroom, and addressing those challenges require more than just academics. Strengthening language services, providing culturally responsive teaching, and expanding wraparound services can make a real difference in helping every child feel valued and capable of success. Another area that deserves our attention is early childhood education and intervention. When learning gaps and development delays or language needs are identified early, we can step in with the right support before those challenges grow. Programs like Learn, Academy, and Child Find are a strong foundation, but it's important to ensure the accessibility and fully supported are for all families. By prioritizing these services, we not only help close the gaps early, but we also give children a chance to start school confident, prepared, and ready for them to learn.
Thank you. Next question. How would you support teachers and staff to ensure they feel valued and equipped to succeed?
Supporting our teachers and staff is essential. If we want strong outcomes for our students, our educators do what is the most important work in our community. Sometimes I feel like it's a ministry. They deserve to feel valued and equipped to succeed. First and foremost, that means listening, creating real opportunities for teachers and staff to share their needs and ideas for making sure their voices are reflected in the district's decision. It also means investing in ongoing professional development and providing tools, resources, and support systems that they need to thrive in the classroom. This includes training in areas like cultural responsiveness, trauma-informed practices, and technology integration, as well as ensuring that they have manageable class size and adequate planning time. Finally, recognition matters. Celebrating successes, building a cultural appreciation for ensuring staff feel respected for their expertise, all foster an environment where teachers and staff can do their best work. When we support our educators, we also support our students.
Juan, same question for you. How would you support teachers and staff to ensure they feel valued and equipped to succeed?
I would support the staff and teachers by actively listening to them, observing the effect of classroom sizes, the aides, and the staff's benefits. I recall the phrase, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Now, I wasn't here in the past, but I can definitely listen and attempt to avoid those bad actions. I understand from a national data perspective 2 years ago that the student-teacher ratio is more on our local side. I'm also open to collaborating with other districts to learn and implement practices that could benefit the staff to ensure they feel more than equipped, but also valued. I understand being an educator is nerve-wracking, what with the high standards and the curriculum expectations.
Thank you. Juan, back to you. How should the district set spending priorities to best support students and learning outcomes?
I believe a spending priority would be after-school programs, clubs like chess, book, debate, sports, etc., to allow the potential for scholarships. I've seen potential. I recall an advisor of mine during the AVID program managed to almost win to the Olympic pretrial. In another instance, I would also prefer kids to have the option to learn another language. In many careers, they have a pay differential for multilinguals. That's a pretty neat combination with the union. And if you saw my answers with the Columbia Basin News, I was told not to cut library or sports. In short, classes, resources, staff, and programs.
Thank you. Bertie, wrapping it up for you. What makes you your spending priorities. My apologies.
We want to skip that one?
Yeah,
Just
no,
let me know.
that's an important one, because if you two have figured it out, this has been a great night for me. How should the district set spending priorities to best support students and learning outcomes?
Directly supporting students in the classroom, this means protecting the funds for strong instruction, student support services, and programs designed to close the gaps. I also believe early childhood education and intervention should remain a priority because addressing these challenges early on not only improve our long-term outcomes, but also saves resources over time. At the same time, we need to be fiscally responsible for declining enrollment and tighter funding. The district must right-size carefully, ensuring any adjustments don't compromise student safety or the quality of education. Just as important, these decisions should be made transparently with input from families, staff, and the broader community. By working together and keeping students at the center, we can make sure every dollar is used wisely to support learning.
All right, our final question for our school board candidates. Bertie, what makes you the best candidate to serve on the school board?
I believe I'm the best candidate to serve in the school board director position 3 because I bring both experience and a deep commitment into believing young people. Over the years, I've worked in roles that required me to support children, families, in our community. And I understand firsthand the challenges our students face, both inside and outside the classroom. From my background in criminal justice and owning a business, I've always been focused on making sure kids have what they need to succeed. I also bring a strong leadership skill, including experience with training, mentoring, and managing budgets. I know how to listen, collaborate, and make tough decisions with fairness and transparency. My priority is to ensure resources stay focused where they matter most, supporting student learning, equipping teachers, and strengthening early childhood education. At the heart of my campaign, it's a simple belief. Our kids deserve the very best we can give them. I want to be a strong voice for families, teachers, and most importantly for our students. With your support, I will work hard to ensure our schools are safe, supported, and focused on preparing every child for their future. Our students are our future, and our schools are the heart of our community. I would be grateful for your support and your vote for School Board Position 3.
Juan, same question for you. What makes you the best candidate to serve on the school board?
What makes me the best candidate is that I hold myself to a high standard, but I am able to acknowledge my limits and ask for help when needed. My community deserves a candidate that is willing to bite their tongue and place rationale over ego. I believe in myself to be someone to do that. In fact, I believe myself in so much. I'm here asking if I may do that for you. I intend to place a deep commitment to this role, a role that will affect my community, myself included, as I reside here as well.
All right, give it up for our school board candidates. Just a reminder that we're collecting questions out front for about another 40 minutes or so, and then we'll ask those if appropriate and time allows. For the city council discussion, we're going to do it in two chunks. So we'll start with Kelly Camp and Gina Doro, ask a series of questions before moving on to Alma Carmona and Oscar Lopez. So we're going to start with Kelly Camp. And Kelly, would you please tell us why you're running for city council and what your vision for the future of our city is?
Yes, and I also want to say, just like Bertie, thank you to everybody that put this event on and for Pete for being the moderator tonight. I'm running for city council because I care deeply about Othello and I want to see our community grow and become everything that it needs to be in a positive and sustainable way. I hope to bring fresh ideas and fresh eyes to the problems we're having while ensuring transparency and accountability in the decisions that are made by our council. I also want to make sure that the voices of Othello residents are heard and reflected in the way that I vote on issues. My vision is a city that works for everyone, where families can feel safe, businesses can thrive without unnecessary red tape, and local government listens and plans for the future with integrity and common sense.
Gina, same question. Why are you running for city council and what's your vision for the future of our city?
I'd also like to say thank you to everybody for putting this on. We really appreciate it. Is it on? Can I get closer, maybe? Can you hear me? No? There we go. Okay. I'm running for because I love Othello. The city isn't just where I live. It's been at the center of my life and career for nearly 3 decades. I started in 1995 as the first woman ever hired to the city's maintenance crew, operating the wastewater treatment plant, testing our drinking water, running everything from street sweepers to snowplows. So when I talk about Othello's infrastructure, it comes from hands-on experience and not just theory. Since 2010, I've served on city council, and for 6 of those years, I was honored to be elected mayor pro tem. I've served on nearly every committee: water, sewer, streets, finance, parks, and helped to bring millions in grant funding and state investments back to Othello. Those are your taxpayer dollars at work, building playgrounds, upgraded parks, pickleball and basketball courts, and even a brand new water tower, all while reducing the city debt and keeping the budget strong. My background is unique. Only about 15 people in Washington hold top-level certifications in both water and wastewater that I did. And that expertise is essential as we move forward with major projects like the aquifer storage and recovery plant and our wastewater treatment plant upgrade. At the heart of it, I'm running because I care deeply about this community. Othello gave me my start, and I've spent my career giving back. I bring proven leadership, hands-on experience, and a deep understanding of how to move this city forward. Experience matters, and I'm ready to keep putting mine to work for Othello.
Thank you for that. Can you share with us now what you see as the top 2 priorities for the City Council in the coming years?
Absolutely. When I look at the city council's priorities, 2 stand out. First, completing the aquifer storage and recovery water treatment plant, our foundation for reliable water supply. State families, growing businesses, and new industries. Water is the lifeblood of Othello, and this project positions us for decades of sustainable growth. Second is the strategic oversight of infrastructure such as roads, sewer, water, fire, public safety. They all must be modernized and maintained as we plan for residential, commercial, and industrial growth, all while keeping our family-friendly character. Othello is more than streets and buildings. It's our community spirit, our neighborhoods, and our future that we're shaping together. I'm ready to tackle the challenges and turn ideas into real results. Experience matters, and with the right know-how, we can keep Othello strong, safe, and thriving for everybody.
Kelly, what do you see as the top 2 priorities for the City Council in the coming years?
A couple of the things that I have seen over the last 2 to 3 years is more division within our city and within our council. There have been some big decisions that have come up. There have been some big issues that have come up with the fire department, with the property annexations in town. I really feel like the biggest thing that our council needs to do is come together and find a way to actually listen to the people in town and make decisions that move us forward instead of dividing us further.
Back to Kelly. If a major developer wanted to build here, how would you balance the need for jobs and revenue with protecting our small town feel and environment?
I think growth is really important, but it must be done in the correct way. If a major developer wanted to move here and build here, I'd want to make sure that we ask the right questions. How is this going to affect our infrastructure, our neighborhoods, and our small town character? I'll be the first to admit that I don't know everything about any of those things right now, but I will 100% put in the work. I will learn and I will engage with experts, and I will, most importantly, listen to the people of Othello. My goal is always to make informed decisions that reflect what our community wants and what's in Othello's best long-term interest. We can welcome new opportunities while still protecting what makes this place our home.
Back to Gina. If a major developer wanted to build here, how would you balance the need for jobs and revenue with protecting our small town feel and environment?
Okay. Balancing new development with Othello's small town charm is all about smart planning. Our housing study shows that we still need over 1,100 new units. So we've annexed 2 major properties, set clear zoning, and are finalizing a modern subdivision code. Developers can connect to our traditional street grid or choose designs that limit through traffic, increase safety, and create secure neighborhoods. These approaches, already successful in nearby communities, help Othello grow without losing its charm. Jobs and revenue are important, but growth can't come at the expense of safety, infrastructure, and quality of life. When I began my 15 years on council, Othello carried $3 million in debt. Today, after major projects and infrastructure projects, parks projects and infrastructure projects, we have less debt than we started with. Fiscal responsibility isn't just talk, it's deferring non-essential projects, consolidating services, renegotiating contracts, and leveraging grant-funded opportunities to maximize every taxpayer dollar. We've kept public safety and essential infrastructure at the forefront: police, fire, emergency response, water, sewer, aquifer recharge, and so Othello is ready for decades of growth. By combining thoughtful planning, fiscal discipline, and strategic grant use, We guide development responsibly while preserving the character that makes our city special. Othello is more than streets and buildings. It's our neighborhoods, our community spirit, and the future we're shaping together. Experience matters, especially the kind that strengthens, protects, and advances the community we love.
Thank you, and I think we're still with Gina, correct? What's an unpopular decision you believe might still be necessary for the good of the city, and are you willing to make it?
Okay. Every decision a council member makes has the potential to be controversial. I approach challenges with a thorough, logical process, always keeping my fiduciary duty to the taxpayers front and center. Complex issues often have multiple possible solutions. So I gather options, weigh long-term costs and benefits, asking, will this truly be worth it in 5 years? And then I act decisively. Othello has a history of tackling tough problems and proving that they can be done responsibly, often with significant savings for the taxpayers. The municipal court is a perfect example. Today, a current potentially unpopular decision is restarting our city-run fire department. In just 3 years, our contract with Adams County Fire District 5 has doubled in cost, with further increases expected. After careful study and guidance from a consultant with 40-plus years in Washington fire service experience, we determined that the best use of taxpayer dollars is to bring the fire services back under local control. This approach protects millions in community-owned assets, ensures high-quality service, and avoids annexation that would raise taxes while stripping Othello of critical resources. Like the municipal court, this decision has its naysayers, but fiscal responsibility and long-term thinking make tough choices easier and ultimately better for our city. Yes, I'm willing to make unpopular decisions when they protect the public, save taxpayer money, and secure a stronger, safer future for Othello.
Kelly, what's an unpopular decision you believe might still be necessary for the good of the city, and are you willing to make it?
Sometimes being in leadership means facing hard truths. A tough but necessary conversation we may need to have is about the long-term costs and sustainability of the city running its own fire department. That decision has big financial impacts for taxpayers, and I believe that we owe it to the residents to look at every option, including partnerships or annexation, through a practical and long-term lens. Most importantly, I think we need to give the Othello residents a voice on the issue and allow them to decide on the annexation issue. I have spent my career in healthcare, and I am not a stranger to making difficult decisions. I'm not afraid to make tough choices if it means doing what's best for Othello's future.
Thank you. In closing, in one sentence, Kelly, why should voters choose you for city council?
Voters should choose me because I bring a fresh perspective, a steady voice, a dedication to serve, and a deep and true commitment to making Othello stronger, more transparent, and better prepared for the future.
Gina, same question. In one sentence, why should voters choose you for city council?
I'm asking for your vote for me. My hands-on experience, proven leadership, irreplaceable expertise will keep Othello growing smart, safe, and sustainable while preserving the small-town character and the community spirit we all love, because experience truly matters.
Since we're at the show house, we're going to take an intermission, but you're not going to get up. I think we should acknowledge one thing that's rather remarkable. We've heard from 5 politicians this evening. Are you politicians? And they've kept all their answers on time. We've got a timer down here, Sebastian, and everybody's been on their best behavior. I think it's also important that we acknowledge the seriousness of what these folks are pursuing. You really want a hospital when you need it. You want your kids, your grandkids, and your neighbors to go to good schools. You want safe roads to drive on. You want clean water, and affordable housing is important for all of us. So Before we move on to the next set of candidates, how about one more round of applause so far for the folks who are willing to do that? So now we're going to move on to the second city council race between Alma Carmona and Oscar Lopez. And we're going to start here with Alma to my left. And Alma, could you tell us why you're running for city council and what your vision is for the future of our city?
I'm a wife and a mom of 4 and an Othello native. I currently sit on multiple boards, from youth sports to public services and municipality. These experiences and exposures to different groups with different ideology does help set me up to be successful, as well as my own life experiences. I was outspoken as a child growing up, but I promise I'm refined now. By the end of a conversation, you'll know just how I feel. I'm running for city council after 5 years on planning commission and 4 of those years as vice chair. I've been able to see what goes on in city council and some of the ins and outs behind the scenes. I feel confident that even though I would be a green city council member, if voted in, I know enough to be knowledgeable, and that does set me apart. I want to see more growth within the city, growth we can sustain, and growth that makes us prosperous. Although I do understand the big shoes and the weight load that is the work of a city council member, I'd like to take on that responsibility to help further Othello with a fresh, younger perspective. As a kid growing up, I didn't appreciate what community meant. I thought small town living was boring, and I couldn't wait to leave. But when I became a young mom, I realized what a jewel Othello is, and I don't want our youth to grow up as I did and think as I did. Our youth should say proudly that they are from Othello and see us for what we really are, a community that always shows up for each other. Our vision should be to survive and thrive. We have to grow for that, but growth should be cautious. I want people to visit Othello and then want to be a part of us. Youth should leave for college and then come back to make Othello stronger.
Thank you. Oscar, why are you running for city council, and what's your vision for the future of our city?
I'm running for city council because I care deeply about the future of our city and believe we need thoughtful, responsive leadership that puts the needs of residents first. This is a critical time for our community. We face real challenges, but also exciting opportunities. I want to ensure that our city is a place where families can thrive, businesses can grow, and everyone can feel heard and represented. My vision for the future is centered on 3 key principles: equity, sustainability, and smart growth. I want to see a city where affordable housing is accessible, where small businesses are supported, where infrastructure keeps pace with development, and where I invest in public spaces, safety, and clean energy solutions. Most importantly, I want city government to be transparent and inclusive and engaging with the community every step of the way. This campaign isn't about politics, as usual. It's about listening, learning, and leading with integrity. I'm committing to working hard for every neighborhood, to bringing people together, and to making decisions based not on special interest, but on what's best for the people who live here. Our community deserves a seat at the table. I'm running to be a strong voice for those who haven't always felt heard by the city leadership.
Thank you, Oscar. What do you see as the top 2 priorities for the city council in the coming years?
What I see is build for tomorrow and not today. We need better infrastructure to meet the needs of our growing population. We also need to fix what is broken, such as relationships with the fire department and also the pool.
Alma, same question. What do you see as the top 2 priorities for the city council in the coming years?
The first thing that city council is already currently working on, and that I feel should stay as a large priority, is infrastructure. We need to find ways to supply more water to our citizens and those to come. We need to find ways to treat and remove waste and sewage. I'm sure council has revised many options in the past. There are many summits, online resources, and classes our city could possibly partake in to help keep us as informed as possible, as well as grants that could help us with these issues. Sometimes it's a different pair of eyes looking at the same thing that can be the change that is needed. As Othello has recently annexed more property, more water is needed and should be number 1. We can't grow if we can't provide these services. The second thing for me is traffic pedestrian safety. Information I have been able to review in the last 5 years as a planning commissioner are traffic statistics. When we began reviewing this information over 3 years ago, we learned that you are 400% more likely to get into an accident in Othello than anywhere else in Washington state. That was enough to make this a priority for me. Othello is 2 things: We own a lot of vehicles because we don't have public transportation, and we are small enough that we walk everywhere. Othello, Othello isn't large, so it doesn't take much time to walk around. And I'm sure we notice how active pedestrians are in our warm months. We need to prioritize how to make that accident report numbers lower. As a planning commissioner, I have made recommendations to council in the past, but I'd like to be a decision maker on some of these safety ideas and help propel that issue forward.
Thank you, Alma. You spoke a little bit about infrastructure there. If a major developer wanted to build here in Othello, how would you balance the need for jobs and revenue with protecting our small town feel and environment?
I feel like a facilitator can help with concerns about balancing jobs and revenue. They should be recommended by the city when we are approached by builders who don't have one. We want developers to make money as they should, but housing should also be affordable. I have been privileged to review and make recommendations to City Council as a planning commissioner under the Housing Action Plan. We reviewed statistics about Othello, and I knew this also needed to be a priority. Othello is a rural community with over 40% of our citizens under the poverty level. A facilitator in the mix would balance the developer, the community, and the city's needs and requirements, making developments easier to start, finish, and to encourage more diversity in development styles. Othello is in need of jobs. Things like this would alleviate that. Othello is in a housing deficit, and we need to encourage the building of homes. However, Othello is in a tight corner with infrastructure. There are so many things that need to be balanced, and all factors should always be considered. One way that proves to be effective on protecting the feel of small towns is how we zone our areas. One thing I have always considered when zoning comes to Planning Commission is to look forward at what comes in those surrounding areas. I don't think schools belong abutting to industrial, and commercial shouldn't invade residential. It's about balance. Protections like that should stay in place until evidence has shown either zone won't interfere with the functions of the other. You don't want to hear the hustle and bustle of commercial activities at home, and you don't want the kids of Othello to be in the industrial smog any more than they need to be.
Oscar, if a major developer wanted to build here in Othello, how would you balance the need for jobs and revenue with protecting our small town feel and environment?
I would approach the opportunity with cautious optimism and a strong commitment to protecting what makes our city special. We all want good jobs, a strong local economy, and opportunities for future generations, but those benefits should never come at the cost of losing our small town character, displacing residents, or damaging the environment that makes our community so livable. As a city council member, I would ask tough questions from the start. How many local jobs will this actually create, and for how long? What's the impact on traffic, schools, housing, and our natural resources? How does this project align with our city long-term plan and values? I would push for community benefit agreements, enforce environmental protections, and ensure any development includes public input from day one, not just after decisions have been made. Growth should be responsible, community-led, and sustainable. In short, I'm not anti-development, but I am for smart development that works with our community, not just in it. We can welcome progress without losing our identity.
What's an unpopular decision, Oscar, that you believe might still be necessary for the good of the city, and are you willing to make it?
Having the city create its own fire department, we have not gotten detailed plan on what that is going to entail, and time is running out. We will have will we have all the resources needed to keep our city, houses, and businesses safe? So in my everyday job, I am also making tough decisions, which I would not hesitate to bring on to the city council member position.
Alma, what's an unpopular decision you believe might still be necessary for the good of the city, and are you willing to make it?
I've had to make some hard decisions up to date, and I still get questioned by citizens, and I am always willing to have the discussion of what took me to that vote. Sometimes I start at the opposing side and may vote differently in the end. Now, I'm not easily persuaded. I need to hear multiple opinions and have enough quorum to see all sides. I also like to discuss my stance on any topic with community members, a one-on-one conversation. This, for me, takes place at both of my jobs and even at my kids' sporting events. My thought process is, if I can convince multiple people on my view on a topic, then I feel confident in where I stand. But if I find myself in a position where I'm starting to waver during those discussions, I reconsider my position before I ultimately vote. With that being said, I know for sure an unpopular opinion are our traffic safety devices, like the bulb outs, the crossing system, and traffic circles. People don't like them. The traffic circles are an idea I personally brought to Planning Commission to review. The idea was largely reviewed by Planning Commission, and what we have now is not what we had in mind. What is currently out is a temporary setup, and it does need to be replaced with something more permanent. However, the information gathered from them is amazing. Speeds before the circles were up to 90 miles an hour in neighborhoods. And although still high, some of the speeds are down to 40 miles at the highest recording after the circles were put in. Traffic in the area was reduced to half, making them effective. This showed us that most of the people that used to drive in these neighborhoods were probably using it as a route to stay off of the main roads. Although this can be convenient, it is not safe. We don't want cars driving in neighborhoods where kids are playing outside and at home. If people are only driving past your house out of convenience and not necessity, that is a problem. I sometimes don't like them, so I do avoid them. I've shown myself how well they work. Traffic and pedestrian safety is one thing that needs to continue to happen. I don't like the design of some of the things that we have, but I'd like to push for other designs with other ideas in mind.
All right, thank you. Well, if you can figure all that out and do something about the e-bikes, then we can talk. Alma, in closing, in one sentence, why should voters choose you for city council?
To put it simply, I'd love your vote. At the end of the day, I'm a mom who loves Othello, and I want a community that my kids and my grandkids would be proud of, a prosperous Othello.
Oscar, same question. In one sentence, why should voters choose you for city council?
As a volunteer firefighter, I've spent close to 3 years serving and protecting our community, and I'm running for city council to bring that same dedication, integrity, and commitment to putting people first.
Thank you. Before we transition to the comments from our candidates for mayor, could I ask the committee if there are any questions they would ask us to consider following the mayor's questions? If you could bring those up and we could take a look at them. That would give us some time to prepare for that. Our two candidates for mayor are Sean Logan and Ken Johnson. And so we're going to start with Ken, as he's here at the table to our immediate left. And Ken, could you start, please, by telling us what motivated you to run for mayor and what your vision is for the future of our city?
I'm rooted in this community. This community has raised me, it's raised my kids, and it's raising my grandkids. I care about it deeply. Community service is very important to me. I've served 14 years on city council, and of that 14 years, 6 years I spent as mayor pro temp. And I always believe that after a certain amount of time, it's fresh new faces are always needed. So I decided at the time to give up my council spot, and I took a couple years off. And then I decided to run for school board, which I am finishing up my 8th year on the Othello School Board. Through these, I've learned a lot, dealing with budgets, dealing with personnel, and our community. Like I said, I'm rooted in this community, and I decided to run for mayor because I believe Othello deserves leadership that's transparent, accountable, and focused on the basics. Keeping our community safe, investing wisely, and making decisions that reflect and that they're the will of the people, not just city halls. My vision for Othello is simple: a city that grows responsibly, supports the small businesses, and strengthens and services that make this a great place to live and raise a family. We need a mayor who listens, leads with integrity, and makes sure every decision builds trust, not breaks it down. Thank you.
Sean, could you please tell us what motivated you to run for mayor and what your vision is for the future of our city?
Yes, thank you, Pete, and I want to also thank the Show House for hosting this event. Last month, I was asked by the OHS class in 1975 to do a presentation at their 50-year reunion, and I was looking through old photos of the city of Othello from 1906, images of men and women standing in the middle of sagebrush and sand. They were raising tents, and I could hear them declaring, here we are. This is where it all is going to start. And they didn't even have a name for this place yet. But they had a faith and they had a belief that what they were doing was the right thing to do, and they were going to carve out, even though they knew it was going to be difficult, they were going to carve out a living in this place. By 1908, baptisms were being held in Scootney Lake, and in 1910, we officially incorporated as a town with the opening of our post office. We chose the name Othello. Then came the railroad, then came the Columbia Basin Project with Grand Coulee Dam, which brought irrigation water transforming our desert into rich, fertile farmland. We experienced significant growth over the next 70 years. That period shaped much of Othello that we know today. As I reflect on our past, I realized each of us has a moment in time, a time when it's our turn to contribute, to leave our mark on Othello's history. That time is now. I believe this community deserves more, and my vision is to continue improving our quality of life, especially with a focus on families and youth. 12 years ago, I ran for mayor because I saw our city falling behind others in parks, amenities, jobs, and economic development. People want safe places for their families to enjoy and opportunities to thrive, and they deserve that. I'm willing to fight for more, and that's why I'm asking you to vote for me as your mayor of Othello.
Thank you, Sean. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing our city right now, and how would you address it?
Several, actually, but one of the most pressing issues we face today is housing, especially for our growing population of young adults. With 23% of our residents between the ages of 20 and 35, we must ensure that affordable, quality starter homes are available for individuals and families just starting out. These are the teachers, first responders, essential workers, and entrepreneurs who are building their lives here, and they deserve the opportunity to own a home in the community that they serve. Expanding housing options for this demographic is not just a matter of affordability, it's an investment in Othello's future. Another pressing issue we've been working on for the last decade is to establish a sustainable water supply. We're in the final stages of securing a long-term water supply system that will support industrial and commercial development, while ensuring we have plenty of water for both today and the generations to come. Over the past decade, we've made significant progress, transitioning from complete reliance on groundwater to a diversified system which would include surface water. Today, we're just 3 years away from fully solving this challenge. This effort has gained strong political backing at both the state and federal level. And when completed, this project will be one of the most impactful in our city's history, laying the foundation for sustainable growth and economic opportunity for years to come. Othello has changed, and you've seen the changes that we've made. I want you to know where you came from and what you're a part of, and you're part of a plan that's larger than you. Many of you grew up in Othello, made memories here, and played a part of it. What hasn't changed is the things that matter the most, the things that we care about. We're a tight-knit community, businesses that have thrived over many years, but yet we're still a small community that cares about their people. We have great parks, great things for families, and we're a thriving community where people will still want to move here because we're small, yet we care for our own.
Ken, the same question. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing our city right now, and how would you address it?
While water and housing are issues within this community, those are projects that have been worked on for years, and plans have been created, and solutions have been decided on, and there's steps already in progress to make those happen. But for immediate, right now it's public safety to me. And after serving 26 years on the volunteer fire department here in Othello, and I see the division that is going on with the city fire department, or the city of Othello wanting to create their own fire department. This is in just short 5 months away from losing the county fire protection services right now. At this point, we have no staff, no volunteers, and limited equipment. In that short 5 months, the contract with the county fire department ends. And we're expected to have our own fire department. But today, the city only has 3 trucks. It has to look at bringing everything up to date. The newest truck is 3 years old, I believe. After that, the previous trucks are over 20 years old. There's going to need to be a lot of work done with the volunteer fire department. I know they have plans to hire a chief, and then the chief will hire an assistant chief, then will want other personnel. But remember, this all has to happen in short 5 months. Not only do that, they have to have a place to put this fire department. We do have a building, but is it adequate? Far from being adequate or being able to be used as a fire station facility. And remember, every step along this way, you want to take your firefighters' safety and accountability in doing this. I think some mistakes are being made along the way, and we need to slow down in this process. I'm not saying that Othello could afford a fire department and man it by themselves, but I think it's going way too fast right now, and we need to take a look at other avenues to help make sure that this city stays covered with fire protection services and that we keep the firefighters that we have safety in hand and all the time. Some of these, and some of the other considerations that we need to take a look at the public safety is there's been ground that's been annexed into the city, and all this ground now becomes city territory. That's going to put an additional burden on our police forces and our fire services and our public safety services. So before we look into annexing any more property than we currently have, we need to make sure that we'll be able to service the property and be able to assure the developers that come in for the future that we will be able to provide safety services for them and all the infrastructure they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Ken, can you also point to one area of the city budget you would cut or reduce, and one area where you would increase spending, and let us know why you would make those decisions?
If the budget is running correctly, the city creates a balanced budget every year. They balance it with their income, and they balance it with their expenses. So unless you have drastic reductions in your budget from year to year, there should be no reductions in it. But if that comes up, which the school board has found out, there is reductions in your budget every year, or they're not what you're anticipating because of a lot of state issues that have went on lately. The biggest portion of a budget is personnel of the city budget, and that's where I would start. We need to fully assess our workforce to identify overlapping, especially at City Hall, so we're not paying twice for the same job. Every dollar should have a clear purpose and measurable impact. Also, we've been relying on grants the last few years very heavily. These grants are going to be starting to dry up. I really appreciate and compliment the city on the work that they have did with the grants that we have received in the past, and all the work and improvements that they have done to the city to improve our parks and the amenities that we have come to enjoy so much. But we need to start looking out towards the future more. We need to pay attention more to the federal and the state level budgets to work along with them. The last portion of that question was?
It was about where you would reduce budgets, and then is there an area you would increase spending?
Definitely, I would increase it on infrastructure, public. We need to entice growth into our city, and sometimes that's enticing, investing in infrastructure in our current areas. If you take a look in the past 10 years, we've had a lot of businesses open and close in existing buildings, and we've had some very good entrepreneurs come in and repurpose the buildings that we had. But if you take a look for new constructions for commercial, we've only had one building built, probably in the last 10 years. And I would like to see a lot more of that. Some of the property that has recently been annexed into the city has that potential for that growth. And I seriously think we need to be putting more money into that and working along with developers to increase that.
Sean, same question. Can you point to one area of the city budget you would cut or reduce, and one area where you would increase spending?
Sure, I've been a financial advisor for 40 years, and I bring that same focus on fiscal responsibility and smart investment to my role in public service. For a small city, we've accomplished a great deal. A $2 million all-inclusive playground, a new futsal court in Kiwanis Park, acquisition of Tigueras Park along with new restrooms. We planted 108 trees last year with more park improvements on the way. We're including a splash park at Kiwanis Park next spring, and we refreshed the baseball fields and concession stand at Lions Park. We've completed a decorative street lighting project. Numerous potholes have been filled, problem alleys paved. We've drilled 3 new wells and a 3 million gallon water tower. And we've done all this while reducing our city's overall debt compared to 12 years ago. One thing I'd like to mention is that people are using our parks, all of these amenities. If you go to Tigueras Park during soccer season, you can't find a parking spot. You go to the playground and there's always people playing, kids, families. The futsal court in Kiwanis Park is being used tremendously. You go by there every night, there's teams waiting to play. We just recently opened the pickleball courts. So, back to the question, if budget cuts become necessary, I'd start with temporary reductions to non-essential expenses like conferences, employee education, rather than cutting vital services. On the other hand, I believe investing in public safety must remain a priority, which is why I would support increasing the budgets for our police and fire departments to ensure Othello remains a safe and secure place to live.
Thank you. And back to you, Sean. If elected and a major initiative you propose doesn't work out, how will you take responsibility and adjust course?
I want to give you a real-world example, and that's with the swimming pool. We currently have a bond measure before the voters in November. If it's approved, we'll move forward with repairing the existing pool. However, if the bond doesn't pass, it doesn't necessarily mean the community doesn't want a pool. It may mean they want something more or different. In that case, we would return to the architectural consultants and engage more deeply with the community to better understand their vision for a pool and what kind of project they would support. And based on that feedback, we'd then revise the plan and place a new bond proposal on a future ballot.
Ken, same question for you. If you're elected and a major initiative you propose doesn't work out, how will you take responsibility and adjust course?
Well, sometimes If a proposal don't work out, I'll own it, I'll learn from it, and I'll go back to the people and with leadership and talk about it and find out what the right solution is. It's about being accountable. If a major issue I proposed didn't work out, I'd see that as valuable feedback, not failure. By determination, an initiative, by definition, an initiative is citizen-driven. If it fails, it's usually one of two reasons. People weren't informed enough, or they were informed and simply disagreed. Either way, that's democracy working. My responsibility would be to go back to the people, understand why it didn't resonate, and adjust course accordingly. Leadership isn't about being stubborn or saving face. It's about accountability, learning, and listening. When something doesn't work, or pivot, improve, and move forward together.
Thank you, Ken. And a final question for you, Ken. In one sentence, why should voters choose you to serve as mayor?
We need leadership that protects public safety, uses our budget wisely, and the will of the people above all else. Please, I'd appreciate your vote.
Sean, for you as well, in one sentence, why should voters choose you to serve as mayor?
I want to thank the community for electing me to be your mayor for the last 12 years. I believe that this community deserves more. I'm not willing to give up on grant money. I'm not willing to give up on bringing more. I'm not afraid to grow, and I'll make the decisions that we need to grow this community responsibly, and I'm asking for your vote in the November election. Thank you.
Give it up for our candidates. We do have a couple of questions and themes that came in from our audience, and so I want to honor those and offer an opportunity to answer the questions to the folks that it might impact. There's one specific for Sean Logan and Ken Johnson that is paired, and then perhaps a broader question for our mayoral candidates and our city council candidates. So I'll start with the one for Mayor Logan, and then Ken, I'll have a follow-up for you. Mayor Logan, you championed creating Othello's own fire department. What safeguards are in place to ensure that those changes don't strain the city budget or reduce service quality for community members in Othello?
I think Gina mentioned that the city's budget for contracting with Adams County 5 is more than doubled in the last 3 years. And it's based on a formula using assessed valuation of the city. The assessed valuation of the city has continued to multiply, and we see, I think Gina answered that mostly, and she said that we look at the next 5 years, what down the road, is it better to stay with this ever-increasing contract, or is it better for us to put together our own department? We've hired a 40-year veteran fire chief and consultant who we released a strategic plan back in August as to step-by-step where we're going to be next May 1. I know there's concern from some, but we are currently right on schedule for what we plan to do. So I think that when you look at the fire department, I know that change is difficult. It wasn't an easy decision for the city council either, but they did vote unanimously, and I agreed with their decision, and that decision has been made, and I think that Adams County 5 has been making their plans to move forward with their fire department, and they've been assisting us and helping us in that process. We've been appreciative of that, and this next step is going to be difficult, but it's going to be difficult on both of us. And yet, we're not afraid of the challenge, and we're ready to meet that challenge at the city.
Ken, this is also related to the fire services and to Mayor Logan's comments. Ken, you've argued that separations were rushed, I think you shared that tonight, and risked higher costs. Would you seek to reestablish partnerships with the county, and if so, under what terms?
I would definitely support going back to the table with the Adams County Fire District 5 and seeing what could be done for future to lock in, whether it's a contract, whether it's annexation, whether it's something else that works completely different than the assessed land valuation. What we are doing is we're creating two separate, completely separate fire departments, which under the last 25 years has run as one, and it's run efficiently with no problem. We've been able to combine the equipment and use it for survey and rating. Unfortunately, the city will lose the county trucks in that classification when survey and rating comes, and that's how your insurance rates are adjusted. So that will come possibly as a cost to the citizens. There's a lot of things I think that need to take a closer, detailed look at into running a fire department. Like I said, and the city did do it once before, but that's when it was a one-man operation, and we had almost a 40 volunteer force back then. And that was one of the reasons why when the existing chief back at that time, when he retired, that we decided as a council back then to go negotiate with the county fire district. It's all the same tax dollars. And why should we be paying it twice? We're going to be paying it twice, I believe, as county residences are looking at a possible increase. And the city is going to be looking at increases from all the equipment that they're going to have to be purchasing in the future in order to have this fire department. I think we don't need to reinvent the wheel at this point. Granted, the wheel may have been broken a little bit, and that's what got us here, but it could be fixed before it's too late and before something serious happens in the future. Okay.
Thank you, Ken. It's been a great evening of collaboration and polite interaction up here. And this one might require some collaboration and sharing of the microphones. And it's open to anyone, I think, who's running for city council and or mayor. And it's about annexation and growth. And there's no particular order. Anyone who wants to grab the mic first and to have that shot at it or respond to perhaps what their opponent might share. But the theme of the question is that Othello's annexation strategy has drawn both praise for promoting growth and criticism for potentially stretching infrastructure. What criteria would you ask the city to use to decide when and where to expand city limits?
Okay. When it comes to annexation, my approach is simple. You follow the law, protect the city, and plan for smart, sustainable growth. In Washington state, annexations must go through a strict state-mandated process, especially under the Growth Management Act. Just because someone requests annexation doesn't mean it's automatically approved. The council has a duty to evaluate whether it truly benefits Othello. We must look at zoning compatibility, infrastructure capacity, and how it impacts surrounding neighborhoods. Does it align with our comprehensive plan? Does it strengthen Othello without burdening existing services on taxpayers? Annexation should always be about what's best for long-term health and vision of our city, not short-term convenience. As someone with years of experience working for Othello and on the council, I know how to balance legal diligence with strategic growth to protect our small-town character while planning responsibly for the future.
Thank you, Gina.
I think with the annexations that I've seen over the last couple of years and the one that is still pending, you also have to sprinkle in a little bit of common sense where you're looking at, does the proposed annexation lead to organic growth for our town? Does it leave pockets of county land surrounded by pockets of city land that is going to stretch our emergency services, our infrastructure, just the ability of anybody in those areas to be safe? I think more than just looking at it legally, we also need to listen to the input of the people in our town. The ones that are showing up to a city council meeting to speak or stand in support of others who are speaking, to where there is standing room only for people that have come out to City Hall. That needs to be weighed almost more heavily than even any of these other things, because this is your town, this is my town, this belongs to us. And you could check all the boxes on all of the things, but if you have 99% of the people that live here that do not want town to grow in that way, then we need to listen to that as well.
Other candidates interested in responding to the annexation question? I can repeat it if needed.
No, I second what Kelly said as well. Just, it's all about listening and understanding what the people want as well.
All right, well, thank you for that, and thank you for being here this evening. Before we wrap up, and I want to remind you that the candidates will be available for some time here in the theater and outside. I did want to share with you, that just last week, one of the smartest people I know shared a perception about Othello with me and described it in these 3 words: soulful, underestimated, and growing. And I thought I have that feeling in the room this evening from what you all shared, and I want to acknowledge your efforts and interest in running for office and helping Othello be the best community that it can. And I want to thank all of you for your time and your thoughtful responses, and thank you to our audience for participating in this important part of the democratic process. And please remember to cast your vote on Election Day. I'd also like to give a special thank you to the Show House for hosting us tonight and making this event possible. But before we officially close, I'd like to again remind you that the candidates will be here in the theater and outside in the lobby. If you have individual questions or would like to speak with them one-on-one, this is your chance. So this concludes our forum. Have a safe evening.